Hello and welcome to another episode of Crypto Time. My name's James Coughlin and I'm joined with my usual co-host, Antonio Shiniford. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing rather fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm very good as always. Looking forward to kicking into our subjects. We've got Libra and PayPal making a little swift exit out the back door. And we also have John McAfee, who's always a very, very interesting character to say the least. Did you want to give us a little bit more information around what you're going to be saying around John?
Yeah, so around pretty much what you just said, a very, very interesting character to say the least. Yeah. Not to repeat what you said, but there you go.
Yeah.
So he's come out with a lot of statements. A lot of those statements have been completely controversial. Mm-hmm. And he's very anti-government, anti any form of establishment.
Yep.
So we're going to be having a conversation around that.
Yep. Sounds good. I sort of just pictured him on a beach somewhere, like shooting a machine gun up in the air. He's just that kind of weirdo. I don't know why. No, he's one of these people that people just love or hate, don't they? Really. Yeah. And people have mixed emotions on it. So yeah.
For the humor, you can have a laugh, but in actual real practical scenarios,
it's not funny. It's not funny. It might be funny to go on a night out, but I don't think I'd make it home, to be quite honest.
Exactly.
So, there we go. So without further ado, what we will do now is just kick straight into this episode and talk about these subjects. So as I said, Libra, it's been a very interesting one indeed. Now, what's happened around it is PayPal have turned around and said that, look, actually, we're not going to be involved in this project anymore. They gave a very much kind of politician style answer as to why they wouldn't be involved in the project anymore. And that was along the lines of, look, we've got a lot going on at PayPal at the moment. We're not really that keen to kind of take our attention off it. So what we're going to do is focus on what we're doing at the moment. Now, me and you, before we came into this episode, were discussing a few different theories around what our actual thoughts behind PayPal doing that. As I said, it's very kind of politician style answer. It's really saying a lot without saying absolutely anything at all. Yeah. Let's tip into what we were having a quick discussion about.
Yeah. So theories.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, PayPal, let's just have a look into what PayPal actually are. Of course, when they were created in the very, very early days, they pretty much tried to create something very crypto-esque. Mm-hmm. Then they had to conform to the financial system that is currently in play, and that's why we have the PayPal that we have today.
Yep. And
that PayPal has licenses that it will need to protect. Mm-hmm. Now, let's look at Libra and what they're currently doing. Libra, when it was announced, there was a huge build-up for it. As soon as it was announced and they presented their documents, literally the cryptocurrency space ripped it apart. They did not like it, to even say the least. Mm-hmm. Not just that, we actually seen the biggest pushback from regulators that I've actually personally ever seen within this space. So now, let's just say I'm PayPal. I'm sitting on the sideline. I've got all of these licenses to protect. Mm-hmm. I think I might start asking some questions.
Yeah. Because look, let's talk about the investments that were made into Libra in the first place. They're around the kind of $10 million mark. $10 million to a company like PayPal, for me, is absolutely nothing. It's like you or I buying a can of Coke. That's what it means to them, right? Yeah. So
Hold on. Not quite that.
Parking fine, would you rather go with that?
I get a lot of them, so.
So I think what the real interesting point here is that actually it doesn't really make sense in terms of what they're trying to achieve and how they're trying to achieve it with the Libra Association. So what I've also done is gone through quite a few different articles out there in relation to this whole Libra scandal at the moment and what's been going on with PayPal. And what I've been doing is looking at, for example, the BBC and seeing what they've been saying, what CoinGeek have been saying, and also what the Guardian have been saying. So I'm just going to go through a few points that I felt was really quite relevant to this whole point. So payments firm PayPal has become the first company to pull out of an alliance that is trying to launch Facebook's digital currency Libra. PayPal made an announcement in a statement on Friday, but did not specify what prompted the decision. As I said earlier, it has now come out that they have said, a wishy-washy answer as to it, but didn't really mean very much behind it. PayPal pulls out. Congress demands Zuckerberg to testify in front of them. So he's going to have to go there. He's going to have to explain a little bit more about the Libra project and obviously what Facebook's involvement is with it, which I think is going to be interesting. Again, he's been there quite a few times in relation to Facebook. Last time, I think we were sitting on top of a pillow, but I think it's going to be interesting to see what goes on this time.
Do you hear why they made him sit on the pillow?
No,
as well?
go on.
to make him look more powerful.
Yeah, when the camera swung behind him and there was a pillow there, I don't think it made him look very powerful, to be honest.
Not even in the slightest.
No, exactly. So from The Guardian, actually, they put PayPal did not give a reason for leaving the project. It said the statement, PayPal has made the decision to forego further participation in the Libra Association at this time and to continue focus on advancing our existing mission and business priorities. So again, we can see that really they're pushing towards that line, trying to deflect themselves away from it, which I find quite interesting indeed. The last point I wanted to make was also from The Guardian, and it was the French government has said it would block the development of Libra in the EU, whilst US regulators have suggested the financial underpinning of the currency, which will involve pegging the value of the Libra against a basket of currencies is held in reserve. Now, this is going to be deemed very much, and it is being scrutinized as possibly being a security by the SEC. So you have the European Union getting involved with the French government where they're trying to sort of push it away and stop what's going on there. Then you have the SEC over in the States also trying to push back on what's happening with Libra. I think, to be quite honest with you, things aren't particularly looking that great at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean to say things can be turned around, because they can. But the thing to remember here, and for specifically the people that watch this show, is it is not a cryptocurrency. It is a digital asset that you can send from A to B, but without a doubt, it is not a cryptocurrency. And I think that's something we just wanted to be clear on. We were clear on it on the last episode when we spoke about Libra. And yeah, we'll just keep you guys up to date in relation to what is happening with the actual companies that signed up on this so far, and see whether we start seeing a trickle effect, because that is something that's being touted very much across news and media at the moment, that potentially this could be a situation where PayPal are the first and we start seeing the floodgates open now.
Yeah, and especially the first being, in my eyes, one of the more publicly known companies, even though there are a lot of public companies there, but not just that. Probably one of the better companies out of the lot.
Well, look at what PayPal did. They pushed society forward in terms of digital payments.
Yeah.
There were some fantastic figureheads that helped set up actually PayPal in the first place. And it's a well-respected brand within the sector, within the finance sector, in terms of actually sending payments to people, remittance and all the rest of it. So I think it's quite interesting to see how that does go. But I think that really does cover that subject quite nicely and pushes us nicely onto John McAfee and what he's been up to.
Yes, so just to jump off from where I left off at the beginning of this episode. Of course, very controversial figure, comes out with a lot of statements. A lot of them are very, very questionable, but has been a very prominent figure within this space in terms of social media.
Sure.
Has got a lot of views, has got a lot of traction on the stuff that he talks about. Whether they're for the good or whether they're for the bad, that's left to speculation. I personally think they are of a negative impact, but to speculation. Now, we've seen a lot of decentralized exchanges get launched in this space. Majority of those decentralized exchanges get launched off of Ethereum, because of course you have the smart contracts there.
Of course.
Now, the purpose of some of these decentralized exchanges is so that you can pretty much trade your asset with no form of real AML and KYC. But as we've been talking about regulation really coming into this space, and them start to find a lot of these ICOs that have been out there, and not just that, question a lot of these company structures and the dealings that they've been doing internally, we've seen some of these exchanges, decentralized exchanges, change their tune. And what they have been doing is some of them have put in some form of AML and KYC practices, because they now know that this whole word of decentralization doesn't always mean decentralization. And the narrative was, if you set out in that way, you cannot be fined. We've seen it on countless scenarios, EOS being one of them, have currently been fined. Our last episode, we listed off a bunch of different companies that have been fined. So that whole decentralized narrative isn't actually true.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like I said, we were talking, previously about different subjects around anonymity coins and what they're actually there for. And I think what a lot of people felt was going to happen with decentralized exchanges is they were going to be able to purchase anonymous-based coins where they could then sort of hide transactions and move them around as they want to. And not only that, but they can actually get onto that decentralized exchange without doing any AML or KYC operations as it stands. Now, that for me, again, I am just not happy with, and I don't like the way that world presents itself to me. I've spoke about this with yourself. I've spoken about it with our CEO, Michael. I'm a recent father. Michael's a father. And one thing that, he said to me, which really resonated, was that, look, we don't want to grow up, and we don't want our kids to grow up in a world in which that they can so easily purchase things like drugs, guns, whatever it may be across the dark web or whatever it was. It's all very well that some people try and use this for certain advantages, like, for example, tax. People are always going to try and evade tax. I don't advocate it, but I'm just saying it's something that exists and it's something that goes on. But if it turned out that my son was able to purchase drugs, or someone was able to purchase drugs on the dark web and sell them to him, to me, it's unbelievable the kind of doors that we would be opening up if we got rid of KYC, AML, just had decentralized exchanges and allow people to just do what they want. Now, what I'm not trying to say is that everybody that uses a decentralized exchange or anything like that is some sort of nefarious actor, because that is totally not the case. And some people just truly believe that people should not be able to see what they're doing. And there is something totally to be said for that. So I'm not turning around and saying that just because people can do small things with it, that it shouldn't be used at all. I'm just saying that we need to really think this through, and we need to ensure that these kind of practices are done properly going forward. And I'm sure that that's something you have a comment on.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what the whole narrative is of this particular exchange, and the exchange is called the McAfeedex. So it's not really that hard to tell. But so the whole pitch behind this exchange is the fact that there's no AML, no KYC, no one can actually really see what you're doing. So you're in a dark area.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, it comes into question on all of those markets that you just spoke about, because it does fuel a lot of them. And a lot of the activity that will be going on, possibly be going on that particular exchange, could be fueling those industries. But of course, you can have a very small percentage of people that just want to do stuff without anyone being able to see absolutely any form of information. So you're not even talking about just privacy. You're going past privacy. Privacy is what is currently in Bitcoin at the moment. You're taking it to a complete other level where you can now operate in those areas of the market spaces without actually being called into question. They're two completely different things.
Yeah.
So with these exchanges, I'm not a massive fan at all. I think they all have a lifespan, and that lifespan is very short. He even said himself, John McAfee, that he will be getting attacked by regulators, and he knows he's going to be getting attacked by regulators because it is a very big topic right now. So again, we're just going to monitor this situation and how it plays out. And I'm very sure that the exchange itself won't last too long, just like other exchanges that are designed in the exact same way. So we'll just see how it all plays out.
Don't you think it's strange that he plastered his name all over it? It's like, if you're trying to, for example, keep something decentralized, keep it anonymous so people don't know what's going on with it, anonymity around it and all the rest of it, why stamp your name on it so that literally you're just saying, look, this is where I live, and come and have a go at me about what I'm doing? Yeah, okay, fair point.
He's on the run.
What does he say? He's not allowed in the United States anymore, is he? Is that right? Something along those lines.
Apparently he's somewhere in Cuba.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So regulators, good luck. We'll see what happens. As you said, we'll stay up to date with it. We'll keep looking at what's been happening with it. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a great place to wrap up this episode. It's always a pleasure to have a good chat around what's been happening around the crypto sector. As always, guys, if you do like what you're seeing, please hit that like, subscribe, and also give us a comment if you are seeing stuff that you do like, or if you want to say something negative, we'll accept that too. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. We look forward to catching up with you soon. All the best. Bye for now.
Peace and love.